What if the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter isn't just a random collection of rocks, but the shattered remnants of an ancient world? A planet that once thrived with colossal cities, luminous skies, and beings of unimaginable height and wisdom. Long before the legends of Atlantis and Lemuria, long before the first humans walked on Earth, there was Maldek, the forgotten world of giants. Let's journey back in time to a place where a planet named Maldek once orbited the Sun, right where the asteroid belt is today. From a distance, it shimmered with brilliant blues and silvers, a world rich with vast oceans, lush forests, and sprawling crystal metropolises that glowed at night like constellations brought to life. The beings who called this world home were the Maldekians. In many ways, they looked like us, but on a truly epic scale. Standing between 70 and 90 feet tall, they were giants in every sense of the word. Their lives stretched for centuries, with some living 5 times longer than we do today. For them, time moved at a slower, more graceful pace, and their civilizations evolved over immense epochs, not mere decades. Their technology was something out of science fiction, or perhaps something our science fiction has yet to dream of. They built devices that could bend the laws of gravity, technologies that could harvest the light of distant stars, and systems that could channel the consciousness of entire planetary networks. They were masters of the physical universe, able to shape reality with their minds and their machines. But beneath all this magnificent achievement, something vital was missing. The Maldekians prized intellect above all else. They dissected reality through cold, hard science, structure, and the sheer power of the mind. But in doing so, they began to neglect the whisper of the spirit within. They learned how to command the physical world, but forgot the language of the soul. Imagine a society where emotion was dismissed as a weakness, where empathy was seen as nothing more than an obstacle to progress. Their logic was pure, but it was also cold. Their knowledge was infinite, but it felt empty. They spoke of enlightenment and ascension, but their actions revealed a growing imbalance. Their civilization was turning away from unity and drifting toward the polarity of control and domination. While some among them genuinely believed they were serving the greater good, the collective path of the Maldekians veered toward what cosmic teachers call service to self. Instead of fostering harmony, they built hierarchies. Instead of showing compassion, they chose conquest. They began to construct vast planetary-scale weapons powered by crystal resonance and the planet's own life force. Devices capable of reshaping continents and even altering the orbits of celestial bodies. With every new invention, they drifted further from their connection to the universal source. Technology became their new god. Efficiency replaced empathy, and slowly, their once brilliant collective consciousness began to darken. At this time, Maldek wasn't alone in its cosmic dance. It had a living moon, a smaller but thriving world orbiting nearby, Mars. Yes, the red planet we see today was once a fertile, life-bearing satellite with its own rivers, oceans, and intelligent civilization. The Martians were like a younger sibling to Maldek, influenced and guided by their giant neighbor. Both planets were connected through a sophisticated energetic network, a kind of cosmic web of telepathic and crystalline communication. They were a binary civilization, 2 worlds in a delicate balance, sharing knowledge, technology, and consciousness. Some records from higher dimensional sources even suggest that both worlds contributed a part of their collective awareness to Earth nearly 500,000 years ago. They projected fragments of their consciousness into a new experiment of creation, an experiment guided by the Elohim, who have long been the guardians of planetary evolution. This means a piece of Maldek and Mars might just be encoded in our very DNA, but even in a paradise of technological wonder, imbalance can grow like a shadow. On Maldek, the relentless pursuit of power deepened. The ego, what some call the mind complex, began to completely dominate their spiritual essence. A society that had once sought unity began to fracture into competing factions, each vying for ultimate control. They convinced themselves that they were evolving, but in truth, they were devolving into polarity, separating themselves from the one infinite creator. Like a brilliant star that burns too hot and too fast, Maldek's light grew dangerously unstable. The seeds of destruction they had planted, fueled by pride, unchecked technology, and the seductive allure of power, were about to ignite a war that would not only shatter their planet, but reshape the destiny of every soul now living on Earth. So, the next time you look up at the night sky and gaze at the space between Mars and Jupiter, remember this story. Perhaps you're not just looking at scattered stones and cosmic dust. You might be looking at the graveyard of gods, a silent memorial to a civilization that forgot its heart. And maybe, just maybe, deep within your own soul, you carry the memory of that same fall, and with it, the chance, this time, to choose a different path. In our next episode, we will uncover the explosive forces that finally ended Maldek's golden age. We'll explore how the influence of the Orion Group ignited the Great Galactic War, and how the souls of that destroyed world found a new home, right here on Earth. The story of the stars is the story of you. Welcome back to Monad Vision. In our last journey, we witnessed the rise of Maldek, a world of giants, a civilization of brilliance, yet a society that began to lose its soul. But how did such a great world fall? What invisible hand pushed them from harmony into war? The answer lies far beyond our solar system, in the shadow of a galactic empire known as Orion. For eons, the Orion Group watched silently from afar. They were not mere explorers, they were masters of polarity, beings who had evolved through the path of service to self, seeking power, control, and the domination of consciousness. To the Orion mind, unity is a threat. Harmony is a weakness. They thrive on separation, hierarchy, and fear. They saw in Maldek something familiar, a civilization growing in intellect, pride, and ambition, yet spiritually fragile. To Orion, this was an opportunity, and so they came. Not in ships of fire, but through vibration, through thought, through manipulation, whispering into the minds of Maldek's leaders. The Orions offered knowledge that promised unlimited energy, faster than light travel, and weapons capable of shaping matter itself. To the Maldekians, it seemed divine. To the Orion Group, it was the perfect trap. They taught them how to amplify crystal technology using planetary resonance, how to focus energy through mind and machine, and how to bend reality to will. But there was a hidden price. Every act of domination fed the Orion vibration. Every fear, every act of control strengthened the chain that bound Maldek to the negative polarity. Soon, Orion emissaries had infiltrated their temples, their science academies, their councils of power. They replaced wisdom with efficiency and service with obedience. At that time, Maldek's moon, Mars, had become a thriving world of its own. Smaller, younger, yet full of potential. It had its own civilization, the Martians, who admired their parent world and sought to emulate its brilliance. But as the Orion influence spread, it reached Mars as well. They whispered the same promises: power, ascension, dominion. The Martians accepted. Soon, the once peaceful alliance between Mars and Maldek turned cold. Each side began to build its own defenses, massive energy grids, planetary shields, and devastating crystal-based weaponry. What began as rivalry became resentment, and what began as fear became war. The conflict between Maldek and Mars was not isolated. It was part of a much larger struggle, a galactic confrontation between two ancient polarities, the Federation of Light and the Orion Empire. Across dimensions, the vibration of this war echoed through the stars. Each side used energy beyond the comprehension of human science, weapons powered not by fuel, but by consciousness itself. The Maldekians, in their arrogance, sought to control even the life force of their planet, drawing energy directly from its core. They created machines that could bend magnetic fields and alter orbits. But every time they used this technology, the harmony of their world weakened. The planet began to shake. The Martians retaliated with their own energy weapons, guided by the Orion overseers. A chain reaction was triggered, massive explosions in the upper atmosphere, electromagnetic storms that devoured the skies. And then, silence. In one final act of desperation, the Maldekian war councils unleashed their most powerful weapon, a crystal resonance grid capable of altering the frequency of the entire planet. It was meant to end the war. Instead, it ended their world. The weapon destabilized Maldek's magnetic field, ripping through its crust and core. Within moments, the planet began to tear itself apart, shattering into millions of fragments that scattered through space. That debris is what we now call the asteroid belt. Maldek was gone, its oceans vaporized, its cities turned to dust. Its once radiant energy, now a cloud of sorrow orbiting in silence. Mars, once Maldek's moon and ally, did not escape unscathed. The gravitational collapse from Maldek's explosion stripped away Mars's atmosphere. Oceans evaporated, winds froze, and life as they knew it ended. Some Martians fled underground, others through dimensional means escaped the physical realm entirely. The rest perished. Mars was left barren, a red scar across the heavens, a silent witness to its parents' fall. As chaos swept the system, a collective of higher density guardians stepped in to restore balance. They could not reverse the destruction, but they could save the consciousness of the fallen. The souls of both Maldek and Mars were gathered, their memories preserved in the Akashic fields. But because they had chosen the path of destruction, they could not immediately ascend. They had to learn again, through humility, through compassion. The Council made a decision that would alter the course of our evolution. These souls would be sent to Earth, not as gods, not as conquerors, but as students, to live, to love, to fail, to learn, until they remembered what they once forgot. But the Orion influence did not end there. Though the planets were gone, their vibration, the blueprint of polarity, persisted. To this day, Orion factions continue to manipulate through fear and power, working through individuals and systems that thrive on control. Their mission remains the same, to keep humanity divided and asleep. Yet there is always light, for just as Orion spreads control, the Galactic Federation continues to spread awakening. So when you gaze upon the night sky and see the faint streak of the asteroid belt or the crimson glow of Mars, remember, you're not looking at distant objects. You are looking at memory, at what we once were, and what we have the power to become again. Because the fall of Maldek was not the end, it was the beginning, the seed of humanity's story, and the lesson that consciousness must never forget. Power without love is destruction. Knowledge without wisdom is death. But when heart and mind unite, evolution begins. Join us next time as we explore Part 3, the fall of Mars and the migration to Earth, and uncover how the souls of these lost worlds became us. Because the story of the stars is not out there. It lives within you. In the last chapter, we witnessed the Great War that destroyed Maldek, a planet of giants consumed by pride, torn apart by the power it once worshipped. When Maldek shattered, its moon, Mars, remained. For a time, it became a lone ember in the darkness, a world still breathing, still alive, but the shadow of Orion had not vanished. And soon, Mars too would follow its parent planet into ruin. Long before it became the red wasteland we know, Mars was radiant. It was smaller than Maldek, but rich in life, covered in vast oceans, lush forests, and golden deserts beneath a deep blue sky. The Martians were a younger civilization, smaller in stature than the Maldekians, but equally intelligent, inventive, and curious. Their society was beautifully balanced between science and spirituality. They understood energy, vibration, and the harmony of the cosmos. For a long while, they lived in peace, observing the stars, guided by the same spiritual law that governed the galaxy, the law of one. But after Maldek's fall, everything changed. The destruction of their parent planet unleashed chaos across the solar system. Mars was violently shaken by gravitational storms, its magnetic field fluctuating, its climate shifting rapidly. The Martians, once united, began to fracture. Fear crept into their hearts, and fear is always the first seed of control. Sensing this opportunity, the Orion Empire returned. They whispered into the councils of Mars, "You are the chosen survivors. You must rebuild the legacy of Maldek. You must become the masters of this system." Tempted by pride and desperation, the Martian elite accepted their offer. The Orions gave them technologies far beyond their understanding: energy amplifiers, magnetic cores, and crystalline reactors capable of reshaping the planet itself. But every gift came with a cost. Each new invention deepened their dependency on Orion. Each new weapon strengthened Orion's hold. Soon, Mars was divided into two great powers: the Martian High Councils, who sought peace and wisdom, and the Dominion clans, who aligned with Orion for control and expansion. The tension built for centuries. The Dominion clans, drunk on their newfound power, began harnessing energy directly from Mars's magnetic core, the same forbidden experiment that had once destroyed Maldek. The High Councils warned them, pleading with them to remember the past, but their pride drowned out all reason. Then came the moment that sealed their fate. A vast energy discharge, a weapon born of crystal resonance and antimatter, was unleashed upon the planet's surface. The result was catastrophic. Mars's magnetic shield collapsed. The sky literally tore apart. Oceans boiled and vanished into vapor. A wave of deadly radiation swept across the entire planet. In a single, horrifying era, Mars transformed from a lush world of blue skies to the barren red desert we see today. Its atmosphere was stripped away, its rivers turned to dust, and its people gone. Some managed to flee underground into vast crystal caverns, hoping to survive until the storm ceased. Others escaped through interdimensional portals constructed by the Galactic Federation of Light, a last-minute effort to preserve their consciousness. But for most, Mars became their tomb. The destruction of both Maldek and Mars reverberated through the solar system like a deep, painful wound. The guardians of balance and evolution met in solemn deliberation. They understood they could not undo the free will of those civilizations, but they could offer a chance for redemption, and so they made a sacred decree. The souls of Maldek and Mars would not perish. Instead, they would be reincarnated on Earth, a young, fertile planet still in its early stage of spiritual evolution. But this time, their power would be limited. Their memories would be veiled. Their advanced technology would be taken from them. They would have to begin again, as humble beings, to relearn the lessons of love, empathy, and unity from the very beginning. And thus began the human experiment. Through the guidance of the Galactic Federation, the souls of Maldek and Mars descended into newly prepared physical forms, primitive humanoids that would one day evolve into Homo sapiens. These early vessels were designed to hold the vast potential of their cosmic memory, but that memory would only unlock when their consciousness was ready. The first waves of these star souls appeared roughly 75,000 years ago in regions we now know as Africa and the Middle East. They spread across the earth, forgetting who they once were, yet carrying within their very DNA the essence of two lost worlds. They learned the raw realities of survival, the bonds of community, the depths of emotion, all things that had been absent in their previous, highly advanced lives. Through pain and rebirth, through love and conflict, they slowly began to rediscover the balance they had lost, the harmony between the mind and the heart. Even today, traces of those ancient lineages remain within us. The Martian spirit, analytical, inventive, and bold, can be seen in humanity's relentless thirst for exploration and technology. The Maldekian essence, powerful, structured, and ambitious, appears in our drive to build great civilizations, to organize, and to conquer. But the higher purpose of their reincarnation was never domination. It was redemption, to heal the karmic echo of their past, to finally evolve beyond the endless cycle of pride and destruction. And yet, echoes of the Orion influence still linger. The same forces of fear, control, and illusion that once corrupted Mars and Maldek continue to operate today, hidden within our own systems. History, it seems, is not just linear, it is cyclical. Until consciousness learns its lesson, the same story will repeat in new forms, on new worlds. Perhaps this is why humanity looks to the stars with such a deep sense of longing. Why we dream of Mars, why we are so driven to seek life beyond Earth. It is not just curiosity, it is a distant memory. We are drawn to the red planet because a part of us remembers calling it home. And deep down, our souls yearn to heal that ancient wound, to prove that this time we can evolve without destroying ourselves. The fall of Mars was not the end of life, it was the transformation of consciousness. Through Earth, the universe gave those souls a second chance, a chance to love, a chance to remember, a chance to return to the vibration of unity they once abandoned in their pursuit of power. So when you look at the night sky and see the faint red glow of Mars, remember, you are not just looking at a distant world. You are looking at your own reflection in the mirror of eternity. If this story awakens something ancient within you, a resonance you can't quite explain, remember to like, share, and subscribe to Monad Vision, where cosmic memory meets spiritual awakening. In our next chapter, we'll explore Part 4, the cosmic legacy and the mission on Earth, how the souls of Mars and Maldek are continuing their journey right now in the time of the Great Awakening. Because the story of the stars is the story of us all. The war is over. Maldek is gone. Mars lies silent beneath its crimson dust, but their story did not end. It continued here. Every soul that once walked those lost worlds now walks among us, reborn as human. You are their continuation. You are their chance to heal. After the cataclysm that silenced Mars, the Galactic Federation of Light initiated one of the most sacred operations in cosmic history. Millions of disembodied souls from both Maldek and Mars were gathered into vast fields of protective energy. Their painful memories of war and devastation were preserved, but sealed away. Their advanced technologies were left behind. Their immense power was diminished. These souls were then brought to Earth, a planet chosen for one singular, profound reason: to relearn love. Earth was designated as a grand school for consciousness, a celestial garden for spiritual rehabilitation. Here, each soul would begin again, journeying through the density of the material world to rediscover the empathy, compassion, and unity they had long forgotten in their relentless pursuit of power. The Federation understood that for these beings to truly evolve, they needed a new kind of vessel, one capable of holding both divine intelligence and the full spectrum of emotion. And so, the human was created, a miraculous fusion of cosmic DNA and earthly biology. The human form was intentionally designed with limitation, but this was a gift, not a punishment. Because it is only through experiencing limitation that true strength, humility, and wisdom can be reborn from the ashes of arrogance. Deep within you, each human carries the memory of the stars, a history hidden in the strands of what your scientists have called junk DNA. But it is not junk at all. It is a cosmic library, a vast archive of your true origins, waiting for the right moment to be awakened. The first wave of these reincarnated souls appeared on Earth roughly 75,000 years ago in the regions we now know as Africa and the Middle East. By design, they were primitive, instinctive, emotional, and fragile. But even then, the seeds of their former greatness were already there, dormant but potent. Over tens of thousands of years, they built the first societies. They formed tribes, developed languages, and created rituals of connection, slowly learning to weave themselves back into the fabric of community. They began to dream again. In time, as fragments of their cosmic memory began to resurface, these souls built echoes of their past in legendary civilizations like Lemuria, Sumeria, and Atlantis. Each of these was a grand attempt to recreate the balance they had lost, a balance between the analytical mind and the feeling heart, between science and spirit, between technology and love. But even in this new Eden, the shadow of Orion returned. Just as they had once done on Maldek and Mars, the negative factions of Orion infiltrated these new Earth civilizations. They whispered the same seductive lies into the ears of the powerful. You can be gods, you can control reality, you can rule. And once again, tragically, many listened. Atlantis, in its splendor, fell into the traps of pride and self-service, using its magnificent crystal technology for power and control rather than for healing and upliftment. The ancient wars of the gods returned, not fought amongst the stars this time, but right here on the sacred soil of Earth. Yet every fall was a lesson. Every repeating cycle was another step closer to remembrance, another opportunity to get it right. The universe does not punish, it only teaches. Every act of destruction is met with an opportunity to rebuild. Every misuse of power is perfectly balanced by a chance to rediscover humility. This is the simple, elegant truth of the law of karma, a universal law not of vengeance, but of perfect harmony and education. The souls from Mars and Maldek chose to return again and again through human life to master the very things they once rejected: emotion, empathy, and deep connection. Through lifetimes of joy and sorrow, triumph and failure, they evolved. Through countless experiences, they slowly, surely learned to love. And now, after eons of this journey, many of these same souls are beginning to awaken. They are starting to remember where they came from, and more importantly, why they are here. Look around you. Humanity stands at a turning point once more. A familiar crossroads. Our technology advances faster than our compassion. Information grows louder than our inner wisdom. The temptation of power beckons again, just as it did on Maldek, just as it did on Mars, just as it did in Atlantis. The critical question is, have we learned the lesson, or are we destined to repeat the cycle of self-destruction one last time? The great awakening that is now unfolding across the globe is not simply a social or political movement. It is a cosmic reckoning. Every single soul is being called to remember its divine origin and its sacred mission. And that mission is not conquest, but balance. Not control, but co-creation. It is the mission to finally merge the heart and the mind, and to become what humanity was always meant to be, a living bridge between the material world and the divine. So why was humanity truly created? What is our ultimate purpose? It is to heal the universe through our own lived experience, to be the living memory of what was once lost, and to consciously transform that ancient darkness into profound understanding. Every small act of kindness you perform repairs a broken thread in the cosmic tapestry. Every single thought of love you generate heals a wound that began in another world long ago. You are not small or insignificant. You are the continuation of a galactic lineage. Within you burns the fiery light of Maldek and Mars, the courage to build anew, and the hard-won wisdom to never destroy again. When you look up at the stars, you are not reaching out to something separate from you. You are looking inward, because the stars are your ancestors. Their dust is in your veins. Their memory is coded in your soul. The story of Maldek and Mars is not just a myth from a distant past. It is a mirror reflecting our present moment. We are those same souls, reborn and tested once again. The universe is watching, not to judge us, but to see if we will finally decisively choose love over fear, unity over division, and creation over destruction. This is the purpose of Earth. This is the reason you are here, to awaken, to remember, to evolve, because when humanity finally ascends, the entire galaxy heals with us. If this message touched your heart, share it, for it is not just a story, it is a memory calling you home. Like, comment and subscribe to our channel for more revelations about our cosmic origin, the awakening of the soul, and the journey back to the one infinite creator. Thank you for being here. In the end, there is no out there. There is only the one awakening through you.